Hello guys, can you hear me? Sound check, sound check. Sound is good, thank you very much. How are you all doing today? It's a hot day here in Sweden, so my fans are running high at the moment. But I don't think you hear them. I cut the sound off, hopefully. Summertime. How are we all doing today? Oh my gosh, PTR announcement. Good day, good day. Can't hear the fans? You're good. Great. All right. We should be good then. So yeah, we have a few things today that we want to share with you. So let's go through our topic today. The PTR announcement. PTR is the public test realm or public test server, however you want to call them. So that is our public setup, and we're going to go through that a little bit when we go to that point. Happy with pets level currently. There are going to be some updates when it comes to pet leveling and so on. We can see if we can cover some of that in the Q&A on the ending note here today. Play test realm, public test realm, indeed. Total domination. Total domination. I see he's back. He's back and dominating the Thefra area. All right. So yeah, we've been quite busy focusing on TC, as you know, trying to get things ready for our public tests phase. So that's pretty much the main thing on our table. We're also lifting a few bugs and issues that also relates to the upcoming TCs. We're trying to get a coverage on those as well. So we should be in a as good position as possible for TC patch. Need more points of interest. Indeed, there will be a lot more points of interest, especially with the epic patch. We have a few thousand spawners, mobs, and points of interest planned. So along with the improvement we are doing in the world, you will see a shitload of points of interest and mobs that can spawn dynamically and randomly. So yeah, there'll be more of those. Shall we proceed to our little point here? Sir Das, thank you for the bits. Henrik is glitching a troll in a tree for it not to move, consider an exploit. I can't say the GMs are responsible when it comes to that. They investigate, they follow procedures, and also depending on what those procedures are, they are also lifting it with the devs. So I can't say exactly what that entails. Even bigger points of interest and more and bigger bandit camps, etc. There will be all kind of stuff. So let's go to this one. When we get bleed arrows, we will get bow fletching and arrow types a little bit later. I can't say when. Luminarch, thank you. Right, shall we show our little upcoming sneak peek? As you know, we are producing all kind of stuff. Main focus TC content. We are doing a lot of cool stuff for the TC constructions. There's a lot of assets that have been worked on, a lot of buildings and functions and services. So it's a big pack. It's a big pack, and it looks really cool when we are now testing with building cities. So you can see all these different mechanics in the cities. It's really impressive. So yeah, we're getting closer to the next step when you are getting your hands on those functions. You can help us test more intensely and also give feedback on balance and all kind of stuff. All right, let me show you guys the little picture I managed to get today. So here are our upcoming armor piece, and it is for wolves, as you can see here. So this one is getting finalized mesh-wise, and then of course it goes to the material production. So yeah, we are slowly getting more and more content when it comes to bags and armors for all the creatures that are being planned for upcoming patches. So yeah, I like it. It's really cool. What do you think, guys? Do you like it? Yeah, as I mentioned, we always try to, you know, strengthen that attribute that the creatures has. And obviously fangs is a big one for the wolves, right? So we try to enforce that in a cool way. Looks cool. More spikes. Looking good. Yeah, we're happy you like it. Happy you like it. All right, so that, okay, I also have one from behind, if, yeah, just to show the details of it. So yeah, that's for our wolf types. Definitely looks cool. I'm glad you like it. I'm glad you like it. Wouldn't actually function the way it's designed. So yeah, it's, you know, it's more how do you say it, visual scare tactics, but obviously also you can poke yourself on those spikes. If it opens the jaw, it acts as a reinforced fang, so it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. All right, so let me continue, guys. Let's head over to the next point. So let's talk a little bit about our upcoming PTR. No, it doesn't add damage, the armor. It's only for protection. So it's just a, you know, visual thing that makes it look cool, right? All right, so the PTR, we have a plan that we decided to share publicly, so you can kind of prepare a little bit and also can stop, guess, or ask the question when we plan to run our public test server for TC. So we have a date that we are aiming for, and obviously I want to make it clear that as long as everything goes as planned, that is our date that we plan to allow you to enter our public test server for the first time. So we are expecting some chaos, you know, since it's a whole new setup. We're using Steam. There's a function that if you go to, let me just see that I'm saying the right thing here. So yeah, if you go to Mortal Line 2 in your Steam library and go to properties, there is a line called betas. So this is the branch that we're going to use for the public test server. So we're going to make it as convenient as possible for anyone to participate, because that's what we want, right? We want a lot of people going in and going crazy with the new tools and functions, so we know that, you know, we're getting ready for any chaos that may occur when we do the first tests. So under the beta branch on the model line, there is a code. Enter beta access code. So this is the code that we're gonna share with you guys when we have it set up and ready to start going. So the date that we're looking for, obviously we wanted to mention that as well, quite importantly. We are looking at the 28th of June. So that is on Thursday, in 3 weeks from now. So we're getting close, guys, getting close. So we're gonna do it during a stream as well on Thursday. Me and Sebastian gonna follow and monitor everything and go through the process. So yeah, that's what we are aiming for currently. When will there be a hotfix for the no brain bug tornado? They're working on a tornado. There's a few spells that do pop multiple ticks of damage, which they shouldn't, and also it's not supposed to throw them up that high. So it's being investigated. I'm not sure if it's already fixed or if it's gonna. But yeah, we know that there's a bug related to it. Will beta branch stay open, or they only open for set amount of time? So the first public test server run we are planning to do from the 28th to the 30th. So 3 days when you will be able to participate in a public beta test for TC. And then we are closing it down again while we are working on all the feedback and obviously everything you may have found, and we're expecting that there will be a lot of tweaks, balance and bugs that we will have to attend to. And then we will work on that a bit, run it on our internal test phase first, and then we plan the second batch of public tests run. We'll announce that date as well shortly after the first one. So we will announce on the second one when we get closer. Will the PTR be a copy of the main server with stronghold, etc., or a fresh map, essentially? So it will be a clone from the live server, because we wanna, we wanna test it as accurately as possible. So we'll have the whole entire database will be copied over. Everything is exactly as it would when we go live, right? And that also means obviously you can go straight to working on TC components. You don't have to fiddle around with new characters. And since we are running this for 3 days, we want it to be as effective as possible. And we are looking at possible, there's a few functions that we may want to switch, and that is possible cost for things, or maybe also adding a few NPCs that will assist a little bit with this testing phase. But we wanna, obviously we wanna make, we're gonna make a list of like a manual how a TC gonna work for everyone again, more in detail, and also so you know how to get started, and also how to obtain the currencies and everything needed to get going, because we want to get a evaluation test on everything, right, from the starting step, how to obtain the deeds and function services, the cost for it, and construction, everything. So we want to have it as close as possible, but we want to obviously try to speed up the process a little bit. But we also want some feedback on that time frame. We're going to calculate time session when you are progressing in TC as well. Yeah, we have DDoS functions in place. We worked on that for almost one and a half month. So we kind of had to push quite a few things 1 month forward and just focusing on DDoS protection. So we have worked on that. So we have a pretty solid system in place right now. We still get DDoS every now and then, but our system handled it much better this time around. So we're happy with that in place. Obviously, unfortunate that it steals development time as so many other things, which means the fun parts, as in the TC patch and the goodies, are slowly pushed forward when those things happens. But it's a necessary thing, right? Piers, thank you very much for the subscription. 23 months. That is crazy. Thank you very much. right. So yeah, 28th of June, about 3 weeks from now, is the first public test server. So we're gonna make an announcement. Obviously, when we get a little bit closer, we're gonna hand out the beta access code for everyone, so you can join in the madness and hopefully help us polish the crap out of TC and find any issues during these phases. So we're gonna post that, all the information on our website and within the community. So, but yeah, the heads up now, since we keep getting the question quite frequently when there's a lot of speculation. We thought it would be a good idea to announce our current estimate date, which is the 28th. Will PTR access work with GeForce Now? So let me think how GeForce Now works again. So you need to have the Steam installation for Mortal Line. So you access the test branch via Steam. So you right-click Mortal Line 2 in your Steam library, properties, go to betas, and that's where you activate the test branch, and you will get a code that you enter here. And when that's done, it's going to automatically update your current build to the beta branch. So it allows you to log into the copy version and participate during those 3 days for the TC. And whenever you want to leave the beta branch, you go back to the beta branch and click none under the test branch. That patches you back to the current live build. So it's quite a convenient system, quite easy to use. So that's how we switch from the beta and live. And yeah, like I said, we're gonna run them for 3 days. And then we're gonna work on everything we got reported so far. We're expecting a little bit of a chaos. And then we're gonna shortly after announce the second batch of testing TC with those things fixed. So yeah, that's our current plan right now. Will there be any advertisement about the PTR TC testing? Should we put on our Q Monster armor? So we're not sure. So we may use the first PTR session as we just make it announced. Anyone that have the game will be able to participate as long as they get the information. And depending how that goes, how many participates, we may want to do the second test. If we need a lot more players, we may do a round of inviting anyone to participate in the second one. It's a little bit more workload for us because then we need to order certain keys from Steam, distribute them. We did quite successfully distribute them using mmorpg.com and Intel and Alienware, I think it was previously. They ran out very quickly. There was a big interest in the stress tests that you may remember. So we could do something similar, but I think it heavily depends on, obviously, like I said, the first public test. It could be that there's plenty and there's enough for us to go through it in depth. But if we see that there's too few players assisting in the TC, we may do a more marketed run on the second one. Is there an official roadmap? There is on our website, yes. We are approaching the TC test phase. And then after the second test phase, we plan to release TC, and then we head towards the epic Unreal 5 patch. Yeah, we do hope that there will be enough for the weekdays, Thursday to Friday, Wednesday to Friday I meant. Because we're gonna work simultaneously along with the test phase to make it as effective as possible, and then close it down so we can work with all that data. Mortal Online should be still running the first game, but as you can understand, we don't really have resources to support it, so we don't really do any updates there at all. We are 100% focused on Mortal Online 2. Obviously, eventually we're going to have to make a decision, right, if we, shut it down or how we handle it, because obviously it's not convenient if someone have problems in that game and we don't really have resources to maintain and support it, right? So it's more like, you can still access it and play it if you want to, but it comes with the risk of minimized support, right? We are fully dedicated on Mortal Online 2, and we are at the point where we are surpassing Mortal Online 1 in pretty much all aspects, minus Sarka, right? But Milan is still quite a lot larger than Milan and Sarka combined from the first game. It also have more biome variation and defined details. Unreal 5 in MO, will you be using nanites? Yes, we will be using nanites. We actually are rebuilding our siege machines a little bit in a way where we, because nanites only support static meshes, and we are trying to find a proper way to use our siege machines to be static meshes and handle the skeleton mesh parts, the animation parts in a different way. So the machines can actually be fully nanites also. So obviously, yes, we're trying to utilize nanites as much as possible when we do that transition. We're already preparing the content we're creating right now, as I mentioned. And I would say the big icon is obviously lumens, right? That's what pushes it to the next gen when it comes to how the world is lit and the shadows and all the ambient light that bounces around, which is really, really beautiful. So yeah, we are pushing the boundaries forward when it comes to taking the step to Unreal Engine 5. Plan to do some more optimization FPS question. Yes. Along with the Unreal 5 transition, we are also working on the side to... we're going through the whole world, right? So every single biome, every city are being optimized and more perfected. So we can get that headroom, gain performance, to also allow the options to enable lumens and such if you have the hardware to support it. So overall, if you don't enable lumens and so on, you should see a better performance overall, less stuttering, because we're also working heavily on the level streaming issues that people are referring to no lines today, but that is level streaming issues. So we're improving them as well in Unreal 5. And as I mentioned, if you have more newer generation hardware graphic card, you can utilize lumens to get the most beautiful MMORPG in the world. Total domination. All right. Does PTR have our current character and guilds on it? Yes, it will be. So we will take very close to, I don't know if it's a day before or the same day on the morning. You're going to take a copy from the live server. We completely move over the entire database, so you can go straight to the testing phase. And that's also for us a very good way to know this is a real scenario, right, with everything included. Nanites is more important for the better performance. Lumens won't make it worse. What is with FSR? So nanites can... nanites doesn't just automatically means you gain more performance. We've done a lot of tests since we got our hands on Unreal Engine 5 quite a long time ago now. Just converting everything to nanites doesn't give us any FPS gains whatsoever. What it does give us, though, is much better looking objects, especially on distance. You don't use LODs anymore, right? So a forest and tree, for instance, being nanites, looks very much better, especially on distance when you are looking at LODs currently. But it doesn't really give a performance boost. The performance boost can be obtained in certain areas and ways when we highly modify the meshes to be, nanite optimized, or however we call it. Now, what I mean with that is that for there to be any performance gains, there needs to be worked on them. So, for instance, the different materials, textures, and so on, you don't have to fake details in materials when you use nanites, because you use the highest resolution. That is the kind of the trick, right? So it does save us some time. We don't have to do low poly models. We go straight to the high poly models, put them into the game, and the game handles those hundreds, thousands, even millions of polygons without dying. That's what nanites do well, right? It handles LOD in a very different way depending on what polygons you can see or not, and that works very well. And that saves us a few materials that is not necessary to showcase those kind of fake details, and that's where you can save memory and performance in different ways. But as I mentioned, it's not really groundbreaking complete game changer if you don't spend a lot of effort and resources in building everything with nanites in mind, and that's something we can't really do. We can't just rebuild the entire world, right? But we're trying to do where we get the most bang for the buck. And also, that's also how Epic Games build games. They don't have everything in nanites, but where it's suitable, you should absolutely utilize nanites. Hope that makes sense. We'll be getting fixed to the laggy servers. Bazooka, are you lagging, or what are you saying? I haven't seen any reports of any server lag. There's been a daily boot, or weekly boot, I mean. That happened around lunchtime today, Swedish time. And that's it. There is no load issues or node issues currently. Praise Unreal 5. It's a good engine, good update, that's for sure, and it pushes boundaries forward. So it's gonna be really juicy to obviously be completely moved over to that engine, because it's been a little bit of a back and forth. We have two branches, one Unreal 5, one Unreal 4. Obviously not very effective, and slowly preparing to take the big commitment step, and that's after TC. So Unreal 5 is happening after TC patch. So we have two public test phases for TC first, and then after those are fully done, we release TC, and that's when we are transitioning over to Unreal 5. We don't have an official date at this point, only internal, and we won't reveal that until we are close. Our first PTS for TC, 28th of June is the current plan. So about 3 weeks from now, on Wednesday, on my stream, we kick it on. We kick it on. Experiencing lag with frame rate of over 100. That's very strange. I'm not sure why you would lag if your frames are over 100. I have seen reports on AI behaving oddly on some of the higher FPS situation. We haven't been able to fully reproduce it, so I'm not entirely sure if we have any more intel or if any of our devs knows what's going on there. But obviously, I also heard that if you lock it, it stops it. So obviously there's a clue there, right? PTR is public test realm or public test server. Lag from pet fur is still an issue. So Beetle, that is obviously 100% dependent on the hardware, right? So we have made all the fur as, you know, in our general optimization phase. But yeah, obviously older hardware have struggled a little bit more with the fur because it demands a little bit more. But we have done quite a lot of optimization there. As mentioned, we are doing more optimization in general, that we give more headroom for the Unreal Engine 5 transition. They're probably talking about hitching. Yeah, if it's when you're running around over the specific lines, there are level streaming lines which causes your character to freeze or stutter. There are different severe, and it also depends a little bit on the hardware, but they're always on the same line. If this is what you're talking about, it's the level streaming that are locking your CPU bound, locking the game. This is gonna be heavily improved in Unreal Engine 5. Is TC and Sieging relatively the same, or did you guys redo it from the ground up? What do you mean redoing it from the ground up? I had a more in-depth TC coverage a few streams ago when I also shared like a PowerPoint in short how TC and Sieging gonna work, and the new mechanics that we didn't have in the first game that we believe was missing to add that more of a depth, long-term commitment, and infinite game loop for anyone participating with those systems. So there's quite a few core parts that we are using from the old game, but there are huge new core systems added to expand it. And also what was pointed out as not as good, not as fun, didn't, you know, play out well in the long run. Those are the areas that we are trying to we have a new system refined and built from scratch. So yeah. Not node lines. Node lines, you can't experience our node lines. You don't know where they're all, and there's no hiccup on node lines. So level streaming lines, it's in the engine, Unreal Engine 4. That's what the players experience as a stutter or a freeze. And those are quite bad gameplay wise, because obviously fighting on those lines or something is quite horrible, right? So it's important that we improve those to be smooth. Noznam, could change be made where both MM and MA can or can't change direction while charging spell drawing bow? It's an inconsistency that MA can while MM can't. It's more of the explanation of how magic works when you can't use your arms, but you can with a bow. So it's, you know, it's that. Can you show the pet arm? Yeah, I can show them again. Boom. The Wolfie. It's not no line because I've been there before and there wasn't all this lag. Also, what should I do when there is a lag? Do you want me to report to devs multiple times if there is lag? So obviously there's a few things to identify. Are we talking about network lag, or is it computer lag? There are always, or quite often, some confusion depending on what we are talking about or what we mean. We can quite quickly see if there's any server network on our end issues, because that's when we get bombarded by pretty much everyone within a minute. And then there are cases where routing issues occurs in the world, where certain areas, zones, internet providers get affected, and only those, which obviously is out of our control. And then there are wireless users or individual router network issues that also are on end users that we can't really control either. Obviously, depending on where you are in the world and so on, there's quite a few components to consider when it comes to lag, to pinpoint what we're talking about and what that could occur. And as long as we can see we have a latency about 1 to 2 ms on our servers out to the clients, and there are no network issues within our hosts, there's not more you know to do when it comes to that. There's nothing on our end. Just to share some of that. 28th of June. So we will make that public, so everyone can save that date. And we're gonna obviously ahead of time share some more information of exactly how it's gonna run. We're gonna share the code that everyone gonna access and like a little description how to enter and access again. It's quite easy. We're gonna use Steam. There's a quite powerful tool on Steam. If you right click Multiline 2 properties, there's a line called betas. And that's the branch we're going to use. So it's going to be quite convenient for the players to go on and off on the public test server. So we're going to do some work on the backend that automatically check if you're on the beta or on the live, depending on if you access that branch or not. So that's going to be quite convenient. Your birthday on the 24th. Let's go. Indeed. Wet Granny Cases. Thank you for the prime. So how do you explain the animals in the sky when you adventure around continent? So there's still a few creatures, animals that are up in the sky, and we're trying to identify all of them and remove them. It's something about our spawner system that puts some of those in the sky. Obviously, that's not server lag or anything on your end. That is on our spawner function that is a little bit foobar. So yeah, we're gonna remove all of those as soon as we got them pointed out and found. So, but that's not any server issues related. That's the spawner issue. But on the fur and the model, so this is more one of the high poly wolf where we create the armor on it. So yeah, this one doesn't have the fur, as you can see, and it also obviously missing the material. So, but the mesh is finished. We wanted to share it. But yeah, obviously you will see it with material and fur when it's fully done. Springworks using the forbidden levitation spells. Indeed, those nasty flyers. So Rise Unknown will have more logic and sense and purpose when we are enabling the Risar invasion functions and the Risar's homeland, where there will be a lot more content surrounding that. So yeah, right now there's not much use for that clade, unfortunately, but we didn't want to have a hole there, so it's there and ready for when the components gets into the game in terms of the Risar conflicts that we have planned for those that want to tap into some of that trading reputation uniqueness as Thursar. The cream work is coming with Epic, so that's after TC. Is going to be the full TC patch ready on PTR or just part of it? So pretty much everything will be there. There are some minor things that may not be fully functional. We are, for instance, we're doing multiple versions of the siege machineries. One of them are mobile, so you can actually move it around. This is a very big system, and it may be that we only allow you to build static versions in the first session, depending on time on our end, because there's so many tricky situations that just popped up on our test phases. Slopes, how you move around, what happens on a fall, a lot of crazy stuff, which simply just takes time to go through for our coder. So It may be that a few of those additional options are not fully in the first session. But in general, everything, all functions and services should be in the first one. It's more of a, like I said, secondary options that allows you to do additional things. So it's a big pack, and it's gonna be fun. About to mount felines, yeah, eventually you will be able to mount all of them that are suitable to mount. Again, I can't say, we don't have a specific date, but there will be batches where we have a few mountables going in upcoming patches. And then what are you saying? What am I saying, Etik? Fingers crossed before MO3 in 2030. There's no update on Thievery. I mentioned before that, so we plan to have Thievery along with Epic, but we want to be very careful and not having too many things that could steal from the most important step when it comes to Epic Game Patch, and that is the new player experience capacity on Unreal Engine 5 and the zone rules with the Crim system. Very large core system of the game, and depending on how that process, we didn't want to have additionally features on the same patch run, because obviously the more we add, the more problematic it could become, right? So we decided to pause Thievery until we feel that the other parts are fully covered and we feel safe with them, and then can proceed again with Thievery. Yeah, the auction house will have more quality of life functions over time. There's good suggestions from the community, and we agree with all of them pretty much. It's just a matter of when, right? So that's the question. Noted Platypus. Thank you for the bits. Are ritual pets ever going to take Sulgi damage? Ryzen horse with 4 hit point with weak heavy armor takes 20-30 damage with full MA. Ryzen pets do max damage against people with or without lore. Is it intended? I can't say for sure. It's a little bit of a lore question or maths question, I would say. Does it make sense that your Sulugi skills help when it comes to a dead creature brought back to, you know, under control by a necromancer? Does Sulugi tap into that? I'm not sure, actually. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But currently it doesn't, right? But because it's not just automatically it's not a living cat anymore behaving as a living cat, right? It's a dead body of a cat that is controlled magically by the necromancer. So, yeah. Oh my god, another one. Is Epic gonna require the use of their client? Yes. For those that wanna buy the game on Epic, we'll use it on Epic. But we will remain on Steam, right? So if you already have it on Steam and that's it, you can continue playing via Steam. So it's just another platform. Epic is very rapidly growing. They have a very nice system. It's extremely well built compared to Steam. Steam is not a bad system, but Epic Games have done a real awesome job with how the whole implementation of their platform works. It's really solid. They also offer a very good royalty share, which obviously promotes more and more developers in the world to use their platform. And yeah, more players are signing up to Epic faster than they sign up to Steam today. So it's growing, and we've been watching on some similar cases where games are released on Epic after they've been on Steam for a few years, and they actually kind of have a small explosion of new players and interest of the game. So it helps with awareness and a new more Zoomers. Yeah, there's a whole group on Epic, right, that will see Modline for the first time and may join in on the madness, right? So we can expect absolutely a natural growth with the Epic game release. But not only that, we're also obviously, as we mentioned before, we're planning to start marketing for the first time ever since the stress test. And if you remember how our marketing worked during the stress test, that was exciting. We got a lot of new players extremely fast, and we were very surprised that so many really liked Mortal Line 2. We thought that, you know, this is not for everyone, and we just have to find our group of players, right? But oh boy, we were positively surprised and wrong in that there was a lot of new players, a lot of WoW players showing up, and they reached out and said this is gonna be the game for the future. As long as we get things right, we get the core right, and we have a successful release on Epic, starting marketing, we have a very exciting future for Mortal Line 2. Naznam, thank you for the Prime. Thank you very much. I have to ask these now. MA can turn. Yeah, so you turn your horse with your knees, right? Just like in real life, you control the horse a lot with your foot, knees. Just like in real life, you could use a bow with your two hands and still be quite effective on a mount. But magic is a little bit different. You need to be grounded, you need to be focused. You can't use your foot and do multitask something else when you're 100% focused on casting a spell. So that is your explanation of why you can't turn when you are on a mount and trying to precast with ecumenical or those schools that require you to stand still. You can't multitask. Does it make sense? Well, it's magic. Sure that we can hold the influx of players in the servers. So along with TC, we are also implementing back our biggest optimization we have built over several months. We have to disable parts of it to get stability back on our latest patch. And we didn't want to obviously troubleshoot that in a live environment. So it's a very good opportunity again to make use of the public test server. We can obviously experiment and do a bit more crazy stuff there without interfering with the persistent gameplay on live. So we plan to cover that as well during the public test server. And that will also give us the new numbers, the new capacity. We're not 100% sure yet where those lands, because we can only simulate and run bots on so many things. The real test scenario comes when we actually get players in there. And then we can make a calculation and then see how that scales. And that should give us a decent cap roof where we know that this is what we can handle in a good way. And hopefully that number will be enough for a continent sized of Mirland. So obviously the next step, if it's really exploding, if we get say 50,000 players or something, exploding quickly, and the queue is out of control, that's when we enter plan B, which is we need more servers. And since we don't have the other continents finished, we have to count those as using the same systems, but additional Milan continents, if that is one of the options we need to step into, and then make the transition later. Why is concentration nerfed to 35 when we are fully concentrated? That is being hit, right? So not the same thing as controlling a mount or walking around or running. Yeah, you can walk now when casting, so indeed that have changed a little bit to make it more smooth. But you know, mountain mages is very powerful, right? There's been a lot of complaints, especially during when you couldn't be dismounted. So that was obviously a very important balance factor coming in. But we want to be careful now, fiddling around with heavy changes when it comes to balance, because we are approaching TC, as you can see. We are getting close to the first test. And that needs to be solid. Can you expect to add something for human race to increase melee combat? So, I mean, everyone is getting the special ability moves after epic footies. All those, that entire thing will get more options and functions. And that will obviously give very interesting components. We have design on 3 abilities per weapon group, which is a game changer for footies. Vila needs buff. It's an extremely popular clade. Why would we need a buff on the Vilas that are one of the most popular one? They have very strong functions. Please add in game time in chat messages. You mean timestamps or what? You can type /time and you will see it in game time. Did you know that? Vila is very bad. What? Why would Vila be bad? That is the king of speed. But Footies is getting a lot of love and cool tactics with the special ability move. I think it's connected, so we can call it the adrenaline system. Timestamp next to chat message. Ah, yeah. Yeah, that makes sense, right? We could probably add that. Vila is literally meta, skill issue. Vila is quite popular, that's for sure. So there's nothing pointing that Vila would need a buff. Absolutely not. So yeah, I'm a little confused as well. Agmir is heavy tanks. They're also popular, yes. I can use a stick to tell time. Why would I type it? Good question. I can't say for sure when it comes to night vision. We need Unreal Engine 5 depending on that step to enable it, and have the correct values is what's missing when we are committed to Unreal Engine 5. Since the entire light system, everything is replaced in Unreal 5 pretty much. Makes no sense to spend that time in Unreal 4. So with Unreal 5 in place, we can finally enable that system. We're planning to do it quite early, but I can't say for sure when, depending on how everything goes with the Epic contents planned for. Really used to be faster though. Are you talking about in the beta or what? Combat beta. I'm not sure if it's been faster. I don't think so actually. We actually slowly buffed it during the combat beta a little bit until it was noticeable a difference. Because we know speed is king, so we want to be very careful about it. Yehoho, sorry it's boring to show these pets, but today's topic was also the PTR announcement, right? Which has been one of the most frequent question we got so far during my latest streams. So obviously that's today's topic. Let me see, I'm falling behind a little bit, sorry. Ray J, thank you very much. We appreciate it. We appreciate it. More settings for config, please. What settings are you looking for specifically? PTR is 28th of June, so about 3 weeks from now. ATC, I'm glad you liked Armor. The artist will be very happy to hear it. Do you think 3 days will be long enough to fully test the TC system? So, Old Greg, we're planning to do 2 test phases, right? So the first one, we're expecting a little bit madness, a little bit chaos, because it's also the first time we have a PTR branch for the public. So we're going to go through all of that. We have copied everything over. Hopefully everything works as intended, so we can go straight to TC focus. And then we will obviously gather everything we have got during that first phase. We're going to go through, do some work on that, and finalize things additionally, and then run the second phase of the public test. And depending on how the first one went, how many we got supporting the test phase, we may do our marketing run, spreading free access for everyone to participate in it if we really need to do something like that. So we will, that's all on standby depending on how the first testing phase works. Currently you can swim and cast without any penalty to swim speed. This is broken and unbalanced. Can you really hold W, swim and cast? Don't you do it when you are in motion? Or does that act as a walk? I don't remember. Eldred, thank you for the prime. Yeah, Greg, there will be a second one, and obviously that will be also based on how everything worked on the first one. It's really cool. It's cool. We are playing around on obviously our internal test, building crazy cities and doing runs, capturing towers, fighting like mofos. It's cool systems, and it adds that depth and infinite loop for anyone that wanna control the world. They remove range like combat like weak spot, magic resist, etc. So magic resist, I was very surprised how few people knew how magic resistance works. There's actually a curve on reducing the damage. There's no randomness at all in the base resistance using Psy, for instance. And then there are a second part of it that is connected to your Psy versus the magic spell skill, which allows you to also half additionally if you manage to do a resistance on top of that. I was surprised. A lot of veterans didn't have a clue about this actually, and thought it was only ranged random based, which it isn't. That also made it clear why some ignored Psy 100%, while some 100% focus on Psy to counter magic damage. We have the new potions as well. We're trying to slowly make them cheap enough and efficient enough to mass produce them, so that can be an additional arsenal tool for you as a footy that have problems against magic, which gives you a long resistance timer boost, for instance, on those spells as well. Weak spot is also heavily based on the material parts and dexterity. I have found some issues with which is strange because we're using the same as in the first game, but something doesn't add up correctly when it comes to weak spotting with a few weapons where you can go heavy, high damage and still access weak spot, which you shouldn't. If you should have to do a specific dagger build, for instance, to access weak spots, but then the main general damage should be reduced. So there's something off there that we need some time investigating. Direwolves everywhere intended. I mean, there's 100 times more normal wolves than direwolves. But yeah, direwolves are, you know, not extremely rare. Germlono, a lot of people didn't know how it works. That's why I remind everyone how it actually does work, as I mentioned. At the same time we had that discussion, a lot of veterans reached out and said, don't touch it, please. They don't know. They ignore Psy. They don't have a clue. And let them be clueless, because we are enjoying our time with our Psy fighter builds and so on. So there's a little bit more to it than some things, at least. That's all I can say. As pets, well then yeah, they have gone out and tamed those direls, right? That's in the players. Dagger is bad. What? Dagger is quite popular. It's not bad, it's powerful. One type is a little bit too powerful even, that are not supposed to be really like that, so something is going on there, as I mentioned. What is PTR? Public test realm, public test server when we run the first TC, and it's scheduled for 28th of June, so about 3 weeks. So murder with 1500 murders walk into town. So that are looking to be changed with the epic patch. So there will be an update to the flagging murder system. The zone rules will be implemented, which means all new player cities zones will be heavily guarded by the nations. New players playing there will be heavily protected, and also surrounding those areas. So a little bit like EVE Online, there will be security from high sec to null sec. So there will also obviously be those null sec areas, which means there are no nation active. You can't report anyone. There's no reputation to be changed if someone are murdered at these places. So that system is coming for the epic patch. Make add-ons for MO2. How do you mean, Evo? What kind of add-on are you looking for? Dagger is powerful. Yes, indeed. Ranger boy, I mean, we always try to minimize randomness values where it doesn't make sense, or give to player skills. So we always try to promote player skills and knowledge to the fullest, right? And then also give tools for the players to actually handle those weakness or strength in different ways, depending on what they want to do in the game, right? But like I said, there's a few things we need to look at when it comes to weak spot, because I know something is not acting as it should when looking at the design. And yeah, people just discovered the resistance potions, reflect potions, and we are still following up on those, how to create them. So there's supposed to be a common thing for those that are invested in it, and trying to make sure that that is the case, so they're not rare and never used. We know they tame them, and there's a reason why everyone is taming them. The direwolves, yeah. Reiko, what do you want me to do with the direwolves that people are taming? I don't understand the question. There will be a test server. Yes, there will be a test server 28th of June, we will ahead of time we're gonna announce the details on the website in terms of exactly how to participate. I just gone through it a little bit, in general in today's stream, but it will be more in depth exactly how to, so you don't miss it when it's time, the 28th. X-Files, thank you for the Prime. And I'm behind again here, so let me jump down a little bit. Sorry if I'm missing anything. We're in the MO2 wiki. Yep. Everything is growing, and it's not easy to keep track of everything, that's for sure. Can you improve damage for Vila? They feel weak. Evo, speed is king. You don't need more power as a Vila. And that's the whole point. The Vilas are smaller, thinner, weaker than, the other clades races, because they are. But they have other strength, right? They have speed, they have high dex, they have... You can go many different builds with Shira and Vila, right? So there's nothing pointing that they need to be stronger or a buff at this point in time. It's a very, very popular clade. And yeah. Buff color. So we still haven't added the stat pool that some clades are missing, which gonna happen sooner or later, which means especially the Karites, Callards benefit from this mostly, and some other benefits a little bit. But yeah, those are actually benefiting mostly from that stat pool that is coming. I can't say when though. Tower shields, you will have some tweaks. You shouldn't be able to ride with the tower shields on your back. It's just that it's a very specific rule component that, it's not a quick thing. We need to do it correctly so we don't get bugged states. Let's head over to this. One moment, I'm gonna start the thing. Are there really sunken ships out in seas, and are they limited to named bodies of water? There are ships, sunken ships, yes. A lot of people have found them and been swimming across the world to find them, and there will be many, many more with the epic patch. So as I mentioned, our goal is to crank in the hell of a lot of wildlife, points of interest, dynamic spawners, and hidden things for the epic game patch. That's also when new players join in masses and will explore the world, and they shouldn't be able to walk in one direction without seeing anything for a long time. So there will be a lot for you guys to re-explore with that patch. No, we don't plan to rework pet points at this point in time. Any news update between now and PTR? Currently, no. We are working on 100% TC along with some bug fixing and polish that will also improve the TC experience. And I'm not sure if we can afford a patch in between, because that means we need to do the testing phase, we need to release it, and then we're already 1 week from the TC test, right? Time is flying, so we don't want to crunch in too many components that could, push TC forward, right? I don't think anyone want to push that additionally forward. It's been enough, right? We need to get going with TC. when we get brothel with minigame, eventually, we have the tavern content that we're gonna expand on, and you will be able to vote when it comes to RP and those components in our upcoming roadmap. You will help us design the upcoming roadmap. So if that's something you want to see early on, you can vote on that. We're gonna make a thread regarding the upcoming roadmap, and you will be able to participate in that and affect that outcome. Yeah, tornadoes have a few bugs. We are working on it, and it should be hopefully fixed in our next patch. Have you prepared proper procedure for the company community poll on future content after Unreal 5 patch? If not, I suggest using website Make Professional Survey. What website is that? I mean, we haven't gone that through that. We should have a very specific setup. We thought that maybe it's enough to have a thread that we create on our forums and we link it everywhere. We go through, explain the different areas that you can choose from, and then we discuss it there, and we can hopefully see a strong indication that majority agree on these things, and that will help us shape it. But I mean, yeah, if there's a better way in terms of voting functions, we can look into that. Yeah, our sign up is running, if I didn't say it already. !MO2 to participate. Join, follow the channel, and !MO2, and you are in for a possible win. Selena Buzz, when? So one of the things happening after Epic is there will be invasions on Milan. That also ties to certain rewards for your character to do endless character progression. And we need some invasions to happen. We have 2 invasions that may happen over time. And yeah, you may guess who those 2 big threats are for Milan. SurveyMonkey is a great one for surveys. Thank you. We'll take a look. We'll take a look if that's something we may wanna look into and see if that's suitable. Will it come to console at some point? So we got that question earlier. Obviously, console market is huge as hell. We actually had a discussion with some giants, including Microsoft, Xbox. They want many cool games on their platforms, right? And so the short answer is yes, it's possible. The more tricky part is that obviously we have 100% focused on building this for PC only, right? First, foremost. Also because of the control schedule and how all that works. Needs to be ported to a console control schedule, which is... there was a time when you can see what games were. There were some big games that were PC only, but they were so clunky and bad in the user interface and control setup. But the reason was they were preparing for console porting. So obviously that work has to be done, and specific possible optimization to also make sure it runs stable on the console. But yeah, the door is there, it is open, it just comes down to our resources and time. But there are absolutely a opportunity to make it happen. Mobile, I'm not so sure though. That will be even more difficult, right? That will be something connected to the Mortal 2 universe if we would do something like that. You know, have your guard patrol in your mobile, your city status, if you have those services. No, we will see. For Honor controls or MO2 controls for a controller. Right? I mean, it is possible, right? It's just a matter of resources. That's what it comes down to. But yeah, it will be cool, obviously, in the future when we have everything in place, the long-term content, as in after Epic Games, you know, to slowly evolve forward and put Mortal 2 on the world map. Eventually, yeah, dungeons will come also later. That will also be one of the options in the community discussion. Do we want to have more focus on dungeons, deep content when tied to that? Or what kind of PvE focus should we do first in the prioritized order? So again, if dungeon is one of those that a lot of people are signing off to, then obviously we'll make that happen earlier rather than later. And the news about Exodus. No, not in this channel. That will be presented in separate channel, also based on requests from the community, which we obviously understand, right? So yeah, that will be another channel. So let's give it 2 more minutes and then we do the giveaway. So if you just tune in, make sure you're followed and type exclamation mark MO2 and we will roll it in a moment. All the satyrs bugged in dungeon. Since when? I mean, I've seen a lot of streams when people are satyr running in a dungeon and they weren't bugged then. So when in a specific case, we can put it in our backlog and have it for our developers. No, Exodus have a meaning. There's a lore and transition. This was actually planned for since day one, 16 years ago, and it's a cool transition evolution where everything is connected in a very, very unique way. But you know, it's still early, and we can understand that the focus is obviously TC and Epic, right? So we don't want to delude towards that right now. But there's a really cool story based on what happens on Milan, and when everyone is trying to reach out beyond Milan, and hence the name is a perfect fit. But obviously it's you know, without that background story, of course, you know, it may make less sense, right? Sucks that the minority will just get shafted. Most of the people that want non-PvP activities have left the game. Sion, I wouldn't say that. We have more non-PvPers in our game. It's just that the PvP players are trying to find action and kill a lot of people everywhere, right? And obviously they fight each other's guilds and groups as well. And they're very hungry for TC, so they can be more involved in a very exciting PvP conflict, which TC will give everyone, hopefully, in a very cool way. And there will be different types of level and depth of these PvP activities and rewards. We are heavily adding more and more solo and PvE content in almost every patch because we see that there's a huge audience that are really hungry for it. And that's a bit of a MMORPG sandbox game. We need all of it. We just you know, need to pick the right things. So those that are not very excited for PvP or want to avoid PvP are going to be obviously very happy to see the Epic Game patch entering the game that will offer them that protection and a lot more options. And those players will also help us choose, or you know, what non-PvP content should we add. So there's a few areas, right? We want to add something for PvP, non-PvP, and RP. Like those are the main groups, right? And with the help of the community, we're going to pinpoint some areas within those groups and have a nice prioritized order set up for upcoming roadmap. So that's what we want to do with the community. Walls. All right, I see what I mean. Yeah. Earth is flat. All evidence in the world points that it's round, but yet there's a lot of people thinking it's flat. It's fascinating and interesting. Yeah, the wall thing, we are aware and gonna work on that. We're gonna prevent people from abusing adrenaline system. Can you share with me how you mean they will abuse it, just so I know what you mean, first of all. I want new arrow types. I've responded to that several times already. There will be new arrow types with fletching, and that's one of the things you can vote for on the upcoming roadmap. Dempaya, thank you for the prime. 60 month. Right, shall we do the giveaway, guys? Are we ready? Are we ready? No walls and gates, please. No walls and gates. You mean free construction? No, we took the decision not to allow wall building and gates because of how it's slowly turned out really bad in the first game. So they are very limited to keep owners only, and we may revisit some very basic wooden constructed thing just to, you know, kind of slow down something a little bit, but you could bash them with a hammer or something, or axe. But we're not starting with that. Yeah, there's currently a safety timer. If you lost your house, it's in a rubble state for quite a while. Where the owners have access to that still. It's like you still access your guilds, your chest and so on. But after a certain while, that decays, so it's free for all. I'm very PvE heavy, but I know PvP is in this game and the consequences system doesn't need much work. I think the people who play WoW and other easy mode games can't handle dying. Bazooka, boom. Yeah, I mean, like I said, we are missing some proper consequences that make sense. Even the PvPers, murderers, say this themselves. So we're gonna do an update there, and we absolutely need security zones like EVE Online if we want to have more casual players and a more rapidly healthy growing player base, to have some separation of madness. You know, we want meaningful PvP to occur where it's exciting and fun. It's not very fun to go to a new place, gank a noob that just learned how to play the game and, you know, feel that a sort sour taste and didn't have a chance to try some things out. That's on us, right? So we're fixing that, we work on that to protect the players. And then obviously when you go out on nullsec, that's where the high risk is, high reward. You know, anything goes, right? And slowly, sooner or later, you may want to adventure in these areas, but then you know that's comes with that risk, right? We had some really fun RP moments during our stress phase. We saw a lot of cool RP streamers, YouTubers showing up, and they really love Modern Line because it's the perfect fit for free RP moments. There is no better game. because it's such a perfect fit with the VoIP first person and the freedom, right? We want to add on that, give more options and tools to offer that on a great level, and hope to see those players come back when we re-release and have, you know, some of that security as well in place for the new player areas. So that was really cool to see that there's a big interest for it, and we're gonna make it happen. All right, let me jump down. I think I'm way behind again. Holy shit! Yeah. All right, it's time for the giveaway. It's explanation mark Emma2. Just tune in, and here we go. I'm rolling. Let's see. All right. What the hell? How do I? Okay, good luck everyone. What's happened to Fulu talk on PvP? You're making PvP songs now? Hell no, I'm not. Are not hearing me what I'm doing. Everyone agrees on this, including the PvP players. Every PvP players want meaningful, fun PvP, right? They don't want to go gank new players that stop playing the game. No one wants that, right? That doesn't mean, oh shit, it's not hardcore anymore. It's not PvP because we allow new players into the game, right? Come on, common sense, right? So we're giving TC. That's why we're giving TC before the new player content, which is a little bit reversed, right? But we do it because we have a lot of hardcore fans that want to have, you know, the end loop finally, right? We've been delaying that for too long now. Is that gray hair I see? Yes. It's all the stress running an MMORPG, and you know, I'm 40. So, you know. Yeah. These changes are highly, everyone benefit from it, including the PvP players and new players and the game and the future, everything, right? So it's a no-brainer, right? It's a no-brainer. You're beautiful. Thank you very much. All right, I got distracted. Here goes the roll. Good luck, everyone. All right. Bam. Congratulations, Arielax. Congratulations. Arielax. Oh, he. Rig chickaboom grats. Oh, my G. TC Chef Rock. You mentioned ChatGPT in last stream. What are the plans for this? There's some really cool plans for this, and more info about that later. It's a little bit too early for me to announce something heavy as that. But you know, trust me, it's gonna be cool stuff in Borderline 2. Cool stuff. Ariella, let's see. Are you here? Arielax, or how you pronounce it? Let's see. Arielax. Is that how you say it? Awesome. Let me find that key. One moment. Another one, eh? Untwisted. Thank you for the subscription. A Skylight and Argument Flux in game and Undiscovered are just not in game yet. I actually am not sure. I will have to check some stuff to actually know for sure. But I think so. But again, I can't say 100% for sure. I would have to check. Yeah, congratulations again, Arielax, and enjoy your code here for Borderline 2. Are you a new or long veteran? What are your Mortal Online 2H. This headset is freaking hurting my head after a while. What was the brand again? I'm not too happy with it. It hurts my head after a while. Get a freaking headache over here after a few hours. Something in between. All right. Awesome to hear. New spray tan? No. I try to be out about 10 minutes a day when there's sun to get my D vitamins and some light, what's it called? Therapeutic. What the hell is the word for it? Light, you know what I mean, right? To not, to feel good, to get energized and all of that, right? I'm there. You'll get a headache after a few hours of it. It's like pressing a freaking dent in my brain, in my skull, and it does hurt after a while. Photosynthesis, indeed. Just no sun gazing. Now, I try to never burn or be too much in the sun. It's not too good for your skin, right? So have to be careful when it's hot sun. But it's equal vital to get the D vitamins because so much in your body is D vitamin dependent. So whenever there are sun in Sweden, which isn't too frequent, I try to take 10 minutes at least a day, and I get a tan extremely fast. So I'm lucky with that. So 10 minutes all I need to get a little touch. All right, so that's the giveaway, guys. And that puts us on the last endings point. I don't think we need cancer in the game, we have plenty of that crap in real life and have to handle that, right? So, but yeah, good news. We're only in a few years it should be fully treatable and preventable. We're living in exciting times with AI computing power going insane. A little bit too fast than I expected. So it's both fascinating but also scary at the same time. Do you golf? I don't. I did play some golf many years ago, but I haven't had the time or anything. It's quite time consuming. So no. Whenever I try to do something, I try to play paddle. It's a really fun sport and easy and fun to get into and a good workout. Can we look at a druid influenced magic? Yes, there are absolutely druid inspired magic school on the list. When we get Rise Invasion in our western towns, you will see. Thank you, Luminarch. And a magic school that will depend on science instead of intellect. Yeah, there's actually several schools that won't just be 100% based on intelligence. So, yes. Study your ether lore, Henrik. Which ether lore are you referring to? What circumstance? When can I sit in a chair? Good question. We are getting some of those components again with our siege machine that you can actually sit in. One of the struggle is when you have all these different heights, all the variations, and obviously we want the foot and ass correctly positioning, right? But it's planned for in one of our upcoming RP sessions content as well. I mean, I can't wait until we have our taverns where you can sit down and play table games and socialize and actually play about in-game money and so on. So there's absolutely going to be some cool content tied to that. So there's always something you can do in Mortal Online, from action to non-action based. Yeah, we may add some quality of life options like that. The real Zorak when it comes to dominate as a primary function. There's some of those cases, I guess, that over time becomes a little bit annoyance. There's absolutely room for more options that just gives more quality of life, right? Dragon's Wen, could we get Dragon Bone scale themed weapons and armor, please? So one of the topic will be character gear, weapon groups, and armor groups that are also from different of the clades inspiration. So again, if it's time to add more of such content to the game, that is where you can make your voice heard when we have the upcoming roadmap planning debate. Grillo, I'm not sure what you're talking about. I created Mortal Line and you think I'm clueless about Mortal Line. I don't know how I draw that conclusion. It's like saying you built a car and you're clueless how to build a car. Zero sense in that, but I wish you the best. Hello, I'm sorry, but I missed when are the very cool new pet armor going to be released, TC? I'm not sure. We have several types of armors and bags that are lined up that will go in upcoming patches. I can't say in what order when. You will see soon. Thanks for naming bags. Yeah, that was a good one. Good quality of life for sure. And yeah, it came from you, the community, right? So there's a lot of those good quality of life options that you are asking for that we want to try to prioritize over time as well. Want to be a Jedi? Yeah, so that's our... I talked about that earlier as well. We have a feature that we want to add eventually that is quite similar to the Jedi system in the issue Star Wars Galaxies. I was very inspired by that really cool game, and we have some plans to offer similar functions over time. The question is when, right? Because it's not something that everyone tap into quickly. Yeah, pre-you. So we don't wanna, as I said, that's why we want you guys to help us with creating the upcoming roadmap. We want to pick the right things, and then slowly over time, hopefully we can expand as well. We will add some of those cool deep systems as well on the side. Yeah, coloring is coming with the dye system. Then obviously you will be able to color your bags. So that also helps to give you color coding, right? It's either space or other. Grillo, so do you know Mats Persson, our lore guy, that is a genius that created the lore and history behind Mortal Line? I'm not the lore guy, so obviously he's better when it comes to lore, but he wrote pretty much all lore for Mortal Line since started 16 years ago. What Mortal Line on Nave is, everything is created lore-wise from Mats. And I just set the setting and framework, and then he kind of create the depth for all the lore and such. And I think he's a mastermind when it comes to writing really cool lore. So yeah, obviously when it comes to lore, Mats is the guy that answers those questions. I read all his lore and try to stay up to lore, but 16 years having so much in the brain, everything from all the function features. I mean, even today people ask me something, and when I'm not sure, they say, come on, you're not Henrik, you're lying in the game, or, you know, why don't you know that? Because you're Henrik, you should know it. believe it or not, it's impossible to keep so much data in a brain over 16 years on everything, from lore to functions to features, systems, and also, you know, age and stress takes its toll slowly. So that's why I can't answer all the questions at all the time without investigating also in some cases. So I hope that is understandable, even though it seems impossible for some that I met in game that don't believe it's me, because I should know, right? Because I created a game. But yeah, I will tell you, it is impossible to know everything. But yeah, Mats is the mastermind when it comes to lore. I really like his storytelling and depth in lore. He's really talented. Would love to chat with him. So many questions. I would love to ask to someone who can conjure these ideas. It'll probably never be a public conversation, but we were amazing. We actually had a lore stream session quite a while ago when he joined in, and we had a co-stream. And yeah, I asked the community, go ahead. We have Mats here. Go crazy with lore and everything in depth. But there were so few questions. And, you know, a little bit sad because, yeah, obviously Mats were prepared for going in depth. But we can see we can do something happen again in the future and try to have it as planned as possible so people can prepare their questions and topics, right? Mats write up a book like World of Warcraft Chronicles series. I mean, he will do an insane job. He's one of a kind when it comes to talent in writing. And when he explained to me half of the things that are a secret, that are not known to the players, I get almost goosebumps. And I was, holy shit, we need to tell the players. And he's like, no, Henrik, it's a secret. But it's so cool. How do we share it? But that's the point, Henrik. We need to slowly plant seed and parts in the world so the players can slowly come up with those ideas or methods themselves. It could be right, it could be wrong. And that was really cool to have those discussions with Mats. And I felt so eager to get that lore going into the game so the players could see that depth as well. The only problem is that, again, time and resources. You do this in the best possible way I ever seen in the industry, but it all comes down to time, right? It takes a lot of time to write it, to prepare it, to implement it. And, you know, he's also been needed in several complex crafting systems and so on, which is also one of his mastermind area. But yeah. Yeah, I mean, maybe we could do something like that. Prepare questions and see if there's some cool topics and questions lined up and we can try to cover those or something. So yeah, I mean, we are open for anything that could fit our schedule. I mean, Mats is also always a very busy man, but we try. We have Chinese servers or NI servers we lag so hard because of bad location. So we are looking to possible host other continents on other regional based in the world, such as Asia, NA. Yes, we are looking into having those continents hosted in those areas. Yeah, we actually discussed to have a regional menu for emotes. We do want to add our so-called macro system as well that allows you to create an icon and a command behind that. So you can make a icon that you put in a hotbar, click it, and it will say guards or emote something, right? So you can quickly access them like that. But yeah, radial we know is quite modern. We see that in many other games, right? So we discussed it, and it's something we need, right, to make it more convenient over time. Like the zero to hero type of style, are we ever going to see more vendors and benches spread around the world to actually sustain a solo style that has no home? Yeah, so I mean, TC will offer this quite a lot, right? People will build cities, and there's an incentive to actually run an open, public, popular city because they can benefit from doing so. And obviously, the more of those, the more of that you will have, right? spread out vendor services, benches, tools, and player services, right? So absolutely, TC is one of those systems that offers that quite greatly, I would say. When we're getting the balance skill active for foot fighting, right now it's only on mounted. I'm not sure. Henrik, we're all proud of you and the dev team. You're all putting in so much work and effort into creating a game for us to enjoy. I love you. Thank you very much, Goon, and all of Starwall team. Thank you guys very much as well for being here, participating, supporting us, and helping us build the best sandbox MMO in all time. And we will get there. TC and Epic will be two very huge milestones, and that will give us a very exciting time ahead. Hustler TV. So we're talking about having a possible Saruka on North America. So we will have those two options, you know, those that are West Coast that struggle to play Mortal Line can choose to play on Saruka, right? But we are still connected in one world, so they still have to go to Midland, play on Midland, and obviously that will be a little bit of a different latency for them, right? It's also a never-ending debate when it comes to ping normalization system. People have personal opinions and their own knowledge about those systems, but there's also, I mean, there's a difference on higher ping latency, especially tied to parry. I think most veterans have noticed those differences by today, but striking as such is extremely fine-tuned in a way that you can't see in any other MMO. That's where we spend a lot of hard work and resource, and it works magically well, but it will never be obviously flawless in terms of everything over 200-300 latency. That will always cause some delay, right? That's just how it works. But when the world grows, we get more and more players. We plan to have it spread out in the world, and people can choose where to go. They're still connected to one world. That have always been the main goal, right? So you're still the hero, the one hero, or the one person that are famous or infamous for being something in the world, right? And you can go across the world. It's a really cool concept, and I like it, and we want to try to go that as far as we can. Obviously, if we can't have the time to follow up with enough continents to support all these players, if we grow too fast, we need to have a plan B and then transferring them over accordingly when we get to continents. So yeah, NA service is one thing. 6% of players are like from NA. No, Hasare, I don't know where you get your stats from, if you're reading from your book in your lap or just madness. But I will tell you, we have about 34% is from North America. So yes, that's a big chunk. And we are looking into option, like I said, to possibly host one continent in North America. We have a huge interest from Asia region, China, Japan, that are looking into Mortal Line, that think that Mortal Line could become huge in their region if a few requirements are met. And if they say it could become huge, there's a few publishers looking for hardcore MMOs. I mean, look no further. Here is Mortal Line 2. If they say those numbers could be reached, that means a whole new world for Mortal Line 2 in terms of resources and future. Obviously, depending on those rules, we need to evaluate and look into those opportunities, which could mean that, if we have 500, 200,000 players in some of those regions wanting to play, obviously we need to mass scale up continents or start with multiple millions until we cover the continents, right? It's just simple math, right? Depending on the numbers we have on a continent. So that's something we are evaluating and going through as well on the side here. because we're preparing Outline to be re-released, new player friendly, more stable, more long-term end game loops, and translating the game, and looking to see how we can claim the world as a leading sandbox MMORPG worldwide. And some regions requires co-work with regional company or publisher to actually even be released there. So and we've been engaged by several, so we're evaluating that as well. Yeah, we had 5,000 players from Asia. It totally makes sense. Yeah, like I said, we're talking about putting a continent there or a server there today, Hasler, because as I said, most of those players don't find the game because of certain requirements, and that's when I said this is why we're talking with some companies in those regions that can make it explode. So you see, one requires the other, right? Right now, the main server cannot hold 2,000 players, or it's not like... Now, again, you're reading from your lap book. Please don't read for us from your lap book, because it just doesn't make sense. It's a little bit strange to do that. So we're way past 2,000 players, almost on a daily basis, and we still have no single load whatsoever. We're still around 5 ms when we are above 2,000 players, and this is without our latest optimization. So we're not even close, not remotely close to any capacity limits whatsoever anywhere on the server. We have a node crash that happens every now and then, and the more players that are playing the game, the more frequently this node crashes, and that leads to that we need to reboot eventually. We are working to fix this node crash, obviously, and we're also having a long-term solution, which is we have a backup system that takes over when a node crashes and starts a new one, and it goes infinite. This goes wrong after a few times, so we're planning to fix that as well, which means we never have to worry about that anymore. So obviously that's what's happening. How about your share some numbers then? That's what I have done. He's Lerv TV. No, it's so what happened. I just explained. So when a node crashes go down, if you're in that node, everyone gets affected, and in worst case you get disconnected, and then you can log in again. That's when the backup node have taken over, and that's what I just explained. We're solving that crash, and we're solving the backup system to work better. But that doesn't mean our server capacity have gone to the roof. This is a node crash issue, which everyone notices when everyone on that node gets affected. But that has nothing to do with our server capacity. As I mentioned, we're way beyond 2,000 on any peak on a daily basis, and there's no lag whatsoever. I can show the latency on the server even. It's extremely low, and it's exciting because we're gonna on the TC's public test server. We're also deploying the last optimization, and we'll do some measurement as well to see where we realistically have our new population cap, because it's way beyond 2,000. I don't know where I guess I understand why I draw the conclusion that when we have more players and a node crashes, lag happens, and you think that, yeah, we reached the capacity. That's understandable. I understand that. But that's not the case. That's what I'm trying to explain. But yeah, the more frequently the node crashes, that happens, the more players that are online. So yeah, it's gonna be fixed, and it's gonna be exciting to see where our number stands. Yeah, the Steam charts numbers are quite off. It don't show all the regional clients connected to the game, but yeah, it shows the daily operations when more players are playing and not. So that's a very good indication, but it's not extremely accurate. It also does one update once an hour on the current estimates that is connected via Steam. So it's a good estimate, or I call it, but yeah, it's not extremely accurate. But yeah, you can see the peak, right? You will see on a daily basis where a little bit more players are online compared to not online. So that's quite accurate on Steam, but the numbers are a little bit off. Also, when we have quick burst of players logging in during 1 hour, that's not all shown on Steam either. So that's why we can have much higher peaks on today's highest, especially on weekends and Sundays. That isn't captured during the Steam charts. But yeah, I see where you draw those conclusions, right? All right, guys. We hit the 2-hour mark today. And I think this is it for me. Got a little headache today and time for some night snack. Trust me, I want this game to go through the roof and do great. But since I start playing, you cast spell and there's a secret casting animation before you actually start casting the spell, which adds 0.5 seconds to every spell cast, start question, everything. Calm down, he's Lord TV. Calm down. You know, obviously, if there are some issues related to casting, we will try to attend to that over time, right? We just need to focus on certain things in a prioritized order, and then over time, we will have it all covered. And yeah, I think all of us in here want the game to go through the roof, and I strongly believe it will. Start with TC as a big step, and then Epic Game, it will go through the roof. And then we are talking with those other big countries and publishers that will help us get thousands of players additionally. So it's very exciting. But yeah, thank you very much, guys, for hanging out here today. Let's see if we can do a little raid. Let's see. I will do the classic poll. There's an old cast bug where it casts on someone else, but it's self-cast instead. Yeah, we will try to iron those out for sure. Absolutely. One moment, guys. You have to help me. Do the little raid. All right, quick vote, and then I raid. Bishop armor again. All right, here it is. Wolfie armor. Raider Mr. Printed served. Yeah, he's a cool guy. He's been streaming quite a lot. He's a funny streamer. So yeah, cast your votes and I will raid. Aspirin with a piece of bread. Aspirin doesn't hurt the liver like Tylenol, and the bread will make it so the stomach music's membrane is like stays the way it's supposed to. Mix, thank you for the tips. Aspirin, I think that's the same component as I'm taking with my Treo, which has acetylsalicylsyra. Does that make sense, the word I just said? It's a specific acid that is quite effective against my migraine, but the downside is it's like acid for the stomach and before the stomach, which I slowly noticed decaying and got some problems with. So I'm trying to minimize it. But yeah, that's one of the things that comes with stress, sadly, for me. But yeah, I manage. So let's see who it is. Mr. Prinkley is in the lead, guys. A few more seconds. Enjoy your days, guys. And to those who are not having a good day, remember you have to control over your inner kingdoms. Indeed, Jane's signal. Indeed. Hessler TV, are you streaming? I don't see you on the stream list. I don't see you on the stream list. Did you just go online or what? Destroyed my keyboard yesterday. All right, Mr. Prinkley it is today. All right, everyone, thank you very much for tuning in. Thanks for your questions, donations, subscriptions, and we're getting closer and closer, and finally we now have a so far public date, 28th of June, for our first public test session. We can expect and be prepared for some chaos, I think, since it's our first one, but hopefully that will be a very powerful way for us to get TC in the box, stable, balanced, and in a good position before we run to next second stress test phase on it, and hopefully we will set the date for going live finally after all this time. All right, guys, let's do the raid. Mr. Brinkley, it is. All right, thank you everyone again, and have a very good night. And let's visit Mr. Brinkley, give him some support and love, guys, and some follow on all the shenanigans. All right, have a good one, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.